All right, guys. Welcome to today's video. Uh, all right. I want to really talk about a very important thing today. In as much as there is a lot of emphasis on ensuring your picks get to the market weight in a very short time, we need to talk about something, and it's something that I. So we need to talk about something that I just feel it's quite very important to talk about. In as much as we talk about fattening your animals very quickly, we also need to talk about the cost of feeding. Recently, I got to know that a farmer is actually even importing feed, and that's quite amazing, but also concerning because in my little time in this business, I can tell you one thing for certain: the market determines a lot. You're not going to force the market to buy at your price, just as in many business, because you are not like a monopoly. So you need to also be very smart about whatever you're doing. Importing feed from outside the country, as good as that may sound, you also need to look at the business wise of the whole thing. Now, the feeds that the people outside the country use, of course, will make them ready for market and make them profitable, because whatever is being used there and whatever price they are selling at there, they are selling the animals there, it's all going to still help the business. But you are in a place where we are not going to consider the pricing of. You're not going to sell your animals at the price they sell the animals outside the country. You're going to sell at the cost that people are willing to buy inside the country. So you need to be very careful of some of all these things, as much as they are good for your animals. Like majorly people outside the country make use of corn and soya. I've seen that before and I really love it. It's good, but we also need to be realistic. So looking at the way these animals are being, the best way to feed them, the way they grow. Of course, I would advise that between that 0 to 3 months, the first after your post weaning, let's just say about 2 to 3 months, you should boost their growth, because at that stage they need so much of quality feeds. But you see, once you are done with that initial feeding, which is always very good to use good feeds at that moment, then you have to start considering tweaking the feed formula to ensure that you can meet the market demand, the market price, and also still make your profit. So, of course, your animals don't hit more than 7% of their weight. So, at about 6 weeks, let's say about 4 to 6 weeks, you'll be getting just about maybe half a kg, 0.5 kg, 0.6 kg, 0.7 kg that your animals will be feeding on. So you see that at that point in time, if you feed them with quality feeds, with expensive feeds, like for instance, I've told you we use more of the starter feed, yeah, and the starter feed a very nutritive one. So at that point in time, we just mix with some certain things. At that point in time, obviously they're not going to eat so much. So every little food you give them matters to them. That's a good way to manage this whole thing. Rather than putting imagine giving a mature pig of 5 months starter feed now. Of course, that pig is going to eat so much of your starter feed, because it will consume so much more at that stage. And of course it will help the body, but will you be able to sell at the cost price of your feeds if you feed with the pure starter feed? Obviously no, it will not be. I don't know anybody out there that will be willing to buy at that price. So the smartness here is when they are quite small, which obviously they won't consume so much, boost them with lots of quality feeds. At that point in time, you don't want to give so much of all these fibers to them. Some people feeding your pigs with PKC at that point in time majorly, will not be very advantageous, because fiber content will not, they can't really easily digest that, and that cannot help their body so well. But obviously, once they are done with that stage, then you can start tweaking with many other things. One of the things I noticed recently, I saw there was an animal that delivered. It used to be very fresh when it delivered, when it was before it delivered. But obviously, after the whole process, the animal will get the piglets will suck her till she will get very light. Now of course we used quality feed at some point, and then we went on using PKC at some point also, and I noticed that it did not reduce her weight. So obviously you see that if you manage an animal well at the initial stage and she has been able to get the right weight gain, and then you then go on to use a lot of other feed resources, which is much more affordable, at that point in time you will be able to conserve your cost. Because once your animals is getting to the finisher stage, be very careful of feeding with too many expensive feed. At that point you can use more of the PKC and some of all these other things that will still help them, but be much more affordable. So that's what I thought to share in this video. Be very careful of using too much, a very expensive of having so much expensive when it comes to your feeding, but also be careful of not feeding them right at the initial stage. Balancing these two things is what will give you the desired results on your farm. All right guys, I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.